All right, so we saw an odd game, I think is the way to phrase this. I mean, this was a bizarre, just unusual game that I don't know if I've seen anything quite like this. We saw Mac Jones only throw the ball 3 times. I'm always fascinated at this stuff, this, bad weather game type of stuff, because typically at this point, if you pay a lot of attention to football, you have certain philosophies about what kind of football you like, what kind of football you don't like. And in a game like this, you kind of have to just throw it out and say, I don't know, do what you think makes sense. Like, there's no analytics for a game like this, because games like this just don't happen basically ever. So that's what I find fascinating. Like, part of me in my gut says maybe the Patriots should have taken a shot downfield at some point, like in the third quarter. The Bills are trying so hard to stop the run. Maybe you do take a chance deep down the field. But the flip side is well, what if things go wrong? Like, there's a very legitimate argument to both sides. The Patriots ended up with basically a little under a point and a half per drive, which is not spectacular. That's actually very much not good. It's 1.4 points per drive, actually, because 10 drives, 14 points. So that's not great statistics, but at the same time, how much of that is just the weather? How many points per drive would they have had they thrown the ball? I just don't know. So you can't really criticize anybody. You got to just talk about what teams decided to do. And so let's just get into the strategy of both of these two teams, really the Patriots, and then I'm going to talk about the Bills a little bit as well. So a play like this is kind of basically just the simple strategy for New England. What you're going to do here is you're going to basically the way this works for Buffalo is they have a single safety deep, which is to be expected when you're running the ball every single time, is that obviously you're not going to be playing much cover 2 in this situation. And so for New England, what they're doing is they're going to run the ball to their right. They have a fullback in the game who's going to block a linebacker, and I've circled a Buffalo player. He is the unblocked man because, Mac Jones is handing the ball off. You do have an unblocked man here. The issue with this for Buffalo is you have a defensive end now who has to try and run all the way over to try to get into this play, and as long as New England can just make all of their blocks, they can pick up solid runs. And usually that's kind of a more difficult if than you would expect, but watch what's going to happen here. As you see, Jones is going to hand the ball off, and everyone does make their blocks, and they're able to pick up as many yards as possible until the safety can bring Damian Harris on this play down. That's how this works, is you pick up yards until the safety is able to make the tackle. And it's really difficult to run full and complete drives like this, but the hope is that you can just run enough of them, and you don't want to risk anything with the wind and all of that stuff. And then, of course, plays like this would happen, where, this was the big one, which is going to be, again, it's going to be a run to the left this time, but sort of a similar idea. The unblocked man for Buffalo is all the way over to the right. I don't have him circled this time, but that's where he is, just barely on the screen to the right. And you could maybe make the question of okay, well, why don't you just, go zero safeties? But, having a safety deep isn't just for the passing game. It's also for the running game. You want to have a safety who can make a tackle if every New England player makes their blocks. You don't want to move him in. It's not really easy to do that. Maybe Buffalo could have given it a shot, but that's just not really what they did. This time, you're going to see again, it's going to be a pitch this time to Damian Harris, who, by the way, Damian Harris is incredible. That should be mentioned. One of the real underrated players in the NFL, I think. He's really good. But here on this play, so Micah Hyde is the guy who's going to make the tackle, and basically for New England, your mindset is, hey, we forced Micah Hyde in a position where he has to make a tackle enough times. Eventually, he's going to take a bad angle. Eventually, he's going to miss the tackle. You see New England, again, everyone is making their blocks right here. And so as you see, Harris is able to make one move and kind of fooled Hyde a little bit. Part of it is it's hard to make that play. I'm pausing it right here just for copyright reasons. I'll play it in a second. But, for Hyde, it is a little bit more difficult to stop on a dime when it's cold out. So that made it a little bit easier for Harris as well. You're able to get that one chunk play, and that obviously is a huge play in the football game in a game that's not very high scoring. I thought this was funny. I'm pausing it right here. They brought it up on the Manning cast. What's happening here is it's a 3rd down and 5. I've never seen this before. Never once in my life have I seen this before. We're on 3rd down and 5. Okay, run the ball, sure, but look at what they're going to do. They quarterback sneak on 3rd and 5. That is just, that's fun, quite frankly. It's just sort of saying, hey, our guys are big enough, we can pick up some yards here. Basically, the mindset was we're going to quarterback sneak twice, because then they would go to the very next formation where they're going to quarterback sneak again. I mean, look, they would quarterback sneak here. They would get the first down. I couldn't really tell if they got it or not, but there's no real conclusive evidence. From this angle, it almost looks like they didn't, but I think there was other angles that made it look like they did. I don't know. They gave it to them, fine. But, just kind of funny stuff. But again, very bizarre game. Just an odd game, quite frankly, with all these weird things happening. Meanwhile, for Buffalo, it was stuff like this. It wasn't necessarily consistency, but it was splash plays, where what's going to happen is, on this one, it's a man coverage play, and you have a one-on-one matchup here. So Gabriel Davis, one-on-one. They're going to give this a shot, and quite frankly, given the field conditions, this is one of the most impressive throws you'll see. I mean, look, Allen's going to take the snap here. He is going to fire one, and I mean, that's just right on the money, gets it there quickly. That is an impressive throw if I've ever seen one. Listen, he didn't hit on all of them, but he had he made some of the splash plays, which were very exciting and fun. This play is another one where it's going to be a man coverage play, but this is fascinating. So what New England likes to do a lot in man coverage is it's like the switch, which means it might be someone's job to cover someone else, but then they'll have someone else be the guy who covers them. Basically, the idea is if there's a pick play, instead of you having to fight through it, you can just switch off, similar to like basketball. So right when this play begins, there is a guy covering the middle of the field who's kind of acting as though the quarterback spy. Not exactly, but kind of a similar idea. That's going to be Hightower on this play, 54. But the issue is, because of the switch, he's just out of position. And also because of the man coverage, not a lot of New England players are focused on Josh Allen right now. So Allen can run with the football. And look, Allen is going to take off. He still has speed, and he's able to pick up a good chunk play right there and doesn't even slide. He, gets tackled. So, again, some of these splash plays, reading the play, figuring out what you can do, and taking advantage of it, finding a way to get downfield. In these games, that's what it's all about, right? You're not going to play typical offense. Find a way to make something happen. So, yeah, listen, the New England Patriots tried a very methodical, we're going to run the ball constantly approach. The Bills did try to run their normal offense for the most part. I thought they had some near misses that could have resulted in the win, but it didn't happen. And you could argue that those were all near misses because of the weather, because of this stuff. They still got some chunk plays. There was on the that ending, not the final drive, but close to the final drive. There was that deep pass to Diggs that helped set him up into that field goal range area. You have to think, if they make that field goal, do they go for a field goal again, potentially win it? But there's a lot of ifs there involved. So really a fascinating game, I think, for both sides. So yeah, I mean, listen, good win for the Patriots. Like, again, it's kind of weird. I'm looking forward to seeing these two teams play again. It'll kind of feel like they've played for the first time once that happens. The one thing we know is Patriots offensive line's really good. We kind of already knew that, but especially in this game, that was incredible what they were able to do. So you got that going for you. And when you can win a football game with your quarterback, who's the Rookie of the Year candidate, leading Rookie of the Year candidate, only throwing the ball 3 times, you're doing something right. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.